Okay, I started shaping the hat down a little bit more. I took my rough out knife. Okay, this is really meant for hogging. Okay, which is much easier to take that hat down with than my little detail knife. And to just, I went around the back and basically used a paring cut like this to kind of shape this thing down. All right, I'm starting to get over here where I'm going to want to make this point, kind of go up this way. All right, and when I get that down just enough and so far down, then I'll cut that in. All right, we could even do that. Now you could do that by running a stop cut. All right, and then shaving up to that, of course, or by making some small quick V cuts, angling down, angling in, and start shaping that side of the hat. Okay, just like that, and we'll take him down accordingly as we go and clean him up. But around the back here, what we're going to do is we're going to try and follow this around and kind of make him sag a little bit here, I guess. And that way we don't just have a flat carving. What we're going to do is we're going to sweep that hat up and down. We're going to cut that in. Now, if we're just using our knife, you could do it with just a series of small V cuts. Or you could run your V tool across there, okay? Just like so. Push down from the top. Take a little bit of that wood out. And that way we'll make the hat go all the way around the back. All right, and then we could round all this and round the whole thing over, and he'll be a carving that's pretty much in the round. We could put the beard all the way in the back and everything, if we like. All right. Just depends on how far we want to go with it. But that's how I would do that. Or, like I said, I would take my V tool, all right, and just kind of cut that whole thing right out. All the way around. And then you shape your hat accordingly as you go. By taking that wood and pushing it up and into that V cut, all right. Like so. So either way, like I said, there's really no wrong way to do it, and there's 1,000 ways to do it, probably. All right, you could gouge it out, I'm sure. Use what you got, and whatever method works best for you. And try to get that hat to just go all the way around, okay? And then we can round off the back here. Okay, like that. And we can shape our hat into a nice little wizard hat. Round off the back of the hat. And just work it till you get the look that you're going for, okay? And then once we get up to the top up there, basically you want it to look like it's all his hat and not separate in any spots. And shape it up from the back to get your little separation here where it folds over. Okay. And once that's high enough and I got enough wood there, then I'll shape it down into his little ice cream cone point, or I could just leave it kind of loose and baggy and not do too much with that either. Depends totally on how much I want to make it sag, make it look pointy, all that. Now underneath, let me round this off for a sec, just a little bit more. I don't want them too pointy on the top, but I don't want a flat spot either. And like I said, usually just a little bit of a paring cut with your rough out knife and working it around will do it. Or whatever knife you're using. All right. Right here, I'm going to make a stop cut and start rounding that up into the stop cut. And we'll take that down just a little bit more. And again, it's going to depend on how far up I want that hat to go and sag over. All right. And again, you could use a V-tool for that also. And we'll try and tone that down just a little bit by angling that down. Okay. And I can get it to come to as much of a point as I want the more I work on it. All right. So that's how it formed the brim, the point of the hat. Anyway, not the brim. The brim's a whole other story, and we could work on that more also. And you could put a second part of that brim and make him a little fancier even, if we want. And then tuck the top of the hat down inside of that. Okay, kind of like the wizard here. Okay, see that top part? We took the brim down, just made a little brim here. It's not too big for this carving, but then tuck the top part down behind that, and that would make that stand out in the front more also. Okay. Trying to round this off. All the way around. Until I'm happy with that shape, and make sure that it's clean on the bottom, and cut in where I want. Just sometimes going around and doing all that cleanup will take up half of the video time, and you guys got to sit there and watch the whole process. So I don't know how bored you get. I know YouTube videos don't have too much of a lifespan as far as how long people watch. They get kind of bored. I know some of you are diehards and will watch the whole thing through, and others are going to fast forward to the end. But, so I try not to go too long, because I know I get long-winded, but I do try to explain as much as I can during a video. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm just rounding the back off here now, because I'm always happy to try and answer them. Remember, I'm no expert. I don't know everything, but if you see me do something, I'm sure I could try and help you out if you don't understand it, and possibly make a video showing it a little clearer so you do, because that's really all I'm looking for, is trying to give you guys a little better idea how to do something like this if you'd like, at least to the point where I can do it anyway. Okay. I mean, I wish I had more when I started carving to look at, and people to ask questions to, and watch videos to learn. I just kind of had to figure it out myself and scrap a lot of wood, and I still do that nowadays. I really don't have time to watch many YouTube videos on what I want to make. A lot of times for things that I want to make, there's not a lot of YouTube videos, because I got some wild projects in my brain that I want to do that I got to figure out how to pull them off. But whittling, that's always fun to practice, no matter what level you're at. And hopefully these videos will help you guys and answer a few questions as far as making something like this goes anyway. Okay. All right, so I rounded him off enough where I'm satisfied with that for now. Let's go into some detailing and see, getting his beard hair and stuff in and making him look just that much more interesting. Okay, now that we got the hat shape, what I want to do is, let me blow this up a little bit. To tweak him a little bit more, I'm going to look at him, and you see how we have this lower lip kind of, and where the hair is going to be coming off of it. I want that in down here a little bit more, because I want to animate that just a little bit more. So I'm going to see if I can show you this with my marker here. When I look at it from this side, I want it to come back here a little bit more, okay, and really get some shadow underneath there, and dig this part out just a little bit more so this upper part sticks out more. Okay, same on this side. I'd probably take this back over here a little bit more. All right, and then down around this part right here, I would like this to kind of stand out, that one tuft of hair, to make that a little bit more interesting, and separate it from the others. So we're going to try and do that with a couple of cuts. And we're going to gather some wood out there, basically, is what we're going to do. All right, and then we'll start detailing him up with our V-tool and putting some hair in him, okay? So I'm going to see if I can do this, actually with my V-tool, so I don't really lose anything. Let me zoom out again so you can see this. So I'm going to watch it from the side and see if I can get that to come out just a little bit more, just in the corners here, okay? Because I want that line coming down. And then, so I'm going to have to kind of shave some and make that depression a little bit deeper right around here. And then I'll come back with my gouge and go the other direction then. But I'm going to pretty much follow this line and try to take some out with the side of my V-tool. There and there. I'm hoping this will work so I can show you guys. And then I'm going to scoop up just a little bit. I didn't want to take it all down with my gouge because then I'd be running way down into this hair and it would start peeling the rest of it off. So I want to get a little bit more of that depression under there. Right here. Again, I want that to stand out just a little bit higher on the top. So I'm going to shave down just a little bit and then up to see if I can create a little bit more of a divot under there. Okay. Like that. And then I'm going to take my V-tool and I'm going to run it. If I can hold this thing. Up on that side and up on this side. And we'll try and shape our hair accordingly. So this little tuft sticks out more than the rest. It kind of forms a point when we get down to the bottom. All right. And that, like I said, just it animates him just a little bit more, gives him a little bit more interesting of a beard. And different depths. Okay, so that's little things like that. I try to look at the carving and see exactly where I could do stuff like that to make them just that much more interesting to look at. Instead of just having normal hair that just kind of... See, now he's got a lot more animated look from the side in the profile, and that'll stick out. And it's just more fun for me. So you might want to play with stuff like that. I'm going to add some hair with the V-tool here. We still have to put eyes in this guy. And then when I make a line like that, I'll always come over on the other side and try and make that line come to a point from the other side. And that kind of separates those little strands of hair. Okay. Like right here, we have a point here. I'll take it from this side now and try and shave into that point. So it looks like one point of hair. You see that? And that way, he'll have like 3 big points of hair coming down there. And it's high. Well, higher than over here, for instance. And it'll separate that up nice and start making it look a little more animated. I know I use that word a lot, but that's the only word I can think of at the moment. Okay. So I'm going to go around. I'm going to give him that, along those ideas anyway, along those lines. Try and shape that tuft of hair with some separate little points at the end. And see what he looks like after that. And if I don't like that, then I'll adjust that. Okay. All right, now up here he needs just a little bit of cleanup. There was a chip there. And this is all just, I'm just using my V-tool for this. And even at the end of that mustache, I will bring bring it to a point so it stands out, okay? See that? Even if I got to shave that down. We can clean this up pretty easy with a gouge. And I'll look at it from the side and see if I'm getting the effect I want. He needs a little more hair here. Again, I'll run my first line down, and then I'll try and make that a point at the bottom. Okay, or at least close to a point. If I have to, I'll come from the other side to finish that point. Okay, see how they get pointier at the bottom? I know, just little things that I think of that I play with. I don't know if you guys want to play with that or not. Or if it matters. It really doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, everything that you do to your carving is going to make it different than somebody else's. And more fun to learn different ideas. Okay, let's fix the mustache on this side. Still snowing here. I guess we're getting snow till tomorrow. And through tomorrow, actually. And actually, that's the first snowstorm we've had in a while. All winter, we've been pretty good. Maybe right through here. Add a little. So now it's breaking up pretty good, and kind of got the effect I was going for. Not quite. But he looks better to me than he did. Okay. And I'll keep playing with that as I go. Excuse me. So the whole thing is, when I look at him from the side, he's going to have a little bit more of a broken up look where it's just not straight down. I really don't like that look, so. All right, I'll try and blend some of this in just a little bit with some small shaves with my detail knife. I don't want to go up too far, that way it'll pop a whole chip out. I can feel it. Try and get some marker line off and try and take some sharp edges off of what I just did by lightly shaving. Again, we always want to round our sharp edges. Sometimes they look good in a carving. But if they're in a spot that you'd rather have them rounded, I like to round them over. And if I lose too much shadow, then I'll simply recut that line. Something's making my nose itchy. Not really too much dust when I'm using my knife, so must be my dusty shop itself or the weather. Okay. And we could give him more shadow under his lip if we want, and really stop cut that in, but I don't think it's going to be too necessary in this carving. And I might want to deepen in certain spots, like right there. I'm going to make a stop cut. Try and take a little bit more wood out around that, underneath that mustache, to get me a little better shadow. This one seems to be pretty deep, so that's okay. Not too bad. This right in here might be a little bit of a hassle to clean up and get rid of that marker line there. That's why I really hate them markers, because, I mean, for instance, if I want to paint him like I did the Indian, then it's really hard to, when you're doing washes, which I like to use when I paint, I don't really just like applying paint. I'll use light washes and build my colors. And it's really hard to wash over marker line, you know, so I think I am going to have to start using mechanical pencils and stuff again. So anyway, I'll clean that up as I go. I'll sand it down a little bit, see what it looks like, and maybe at the end of that, I would deepen right here at the very bottom of a few of these to get a little bit more shadow and break up the points at the bottom here. Okay. And I'll cut some deep lines in there and break some of those up. One more little thing you can do when you get into the bottom of your beards, all right, and you want to get a little more shadow down there. So I'll take some deeper cuts and take some wood out with my knife, going right off the bottom of the carving there. Like I said, just little ideas that you can use if you want. If you don't do it, it's not like you're doing anything wrong. I mean, I do a lot of stuff wrong. But that's how you figure out your style and what you want to do, you know? Maybe one over here. Okay. And I like to take the outsides of the mustache and do the same thing. If they're running that far down especially, I'll make sure there's a little extra depth around there. So when you're viewing them from the side, you'll definitely see that mustache. Even though he's just a little carving. So it's always good to, like we were talking about before, it's always good to carve a little deeper, especially in spots where it's going to be very beneficial to make something stand out. Always a good idea to get some depth. Okay. Now we're going to start running the beard hair with our V-tool, and we're just going to detail the rest of him up, and then we'll pop his eyes in and a couple wrinkles, and we do have to work on his forehead, but I'm not really worrying about how long the videos go. I'm trying to explain as much as I can for you guys. So if I got to make 4 parts to a wizard video, then that's what I'll do. Okay? All right, we're simply going to try to detail him up a little bit more now with the V-tool. I did work on him a little bit with the sandpaper, trying to smooth some of this out, take those sharp edges off. Again, I like to see where I'm going, round his lip off a little bit with it here, try to get some of that marker line out, but I don't know if that's going to sand out all the way or not. Now, I could cut his upper lip in here, or his bottom lip in here, and make this more of a chin, but I'm kind of liking that look that he has right there. I don't really want to mess with this too much and end up with him having an open mouth or something. So we're going to just leave that the way it is, and we'll detail that up just the way he is with the V-tool. Okay. So let's just take that. I think we have most of his features cut in and the highs and lows that we want. So I'm just going to start running hair with the V-tool. Starting from underneath this cheek here. Okay, I'm just going to start making little hairs. And like I said, I like to form them into points. You see that point? Okay. So if I make a cut down like this, no matter how far I'm going with it, all right, at the end, I'll always try to come around from the other side and form that into a little bit of a point. Kind of gives your hair a stopping place, and it kind of separates those strands. I don't know, it's just another thing I like to do, and it changes up the look for the V-tool stuff. You don't have to do it to every hair, you know, but I find that if I do it to a lot of hairs, it really starts animating that hair a lot more. I mean, some places it's going to be hard to do it, you know, especially when you're having a hard time trying to hold a little carving like this. But it's just another thing that you can try. So I'm just going to go around, come off of this cheek here and try and give myself some beard hair. Don't mind me trying to talk and focus on what I'm doing at the same time. Can be tough sometimes. I don't want to end up with a boo-boo. And that's all we're doing there. We'll clean up little spots that we see that are in need of attention. Come over here to the other side. Go under the cheek here. And we'll start running some hair down there. Right off the wood. Okay, just like that. And there's so many lines I'm going to run off the wood, but try and get that cut to come to a point at the end, okay? And if you got to do it more than once to make it more evident, do it. Okay. Let that break up until we get up and under the hair. If it needs a little more depth in it, cut it a little deeper in certain spots by running through twice or 3 times. All right. Sometimes it's hard on this side to get the shadow you're looking for. I guess it's the way that tool cuts. But viewing it, I found out when you're looking at it from the right side, it doesn't have half as much detail and shadow. I mean, the lines are in there this side, see them? But when you look at it from this way, it must be the angle of that tool. So I guess I would have to run the V tool down on the same type of angle. I don't think I can really do this with this. I wouldn't trust my left hand without a glove, so I'm not going to do that. But I think it really is the direction you're going. And the undercut that you're getting from that side with the right side than the left side. This right here, it's coming down this way. When I go down on this side, for some reason, maybe I should lean the tool that way. Just one thing I ponder now and then, because I always end up with this side a little less shadow with those cuts. And that's what I think it is. I would have to maybe cut up to get the same type of shadow. Yeah, there it is. Instead of cutting down on that side. So that right there might be useful to you, if that's happening. Okay, and we're going to do the hair here. So we're going to try that. We're going to try and cut up on the right side to do our hair. Okay. And to get a little bit more depth and that light to hit that hair right so we can actually see that detail. Okay. And then when we do the other side, we'll cut down and we'll see, but you'll see the difference in what I'm talking about. When we do this side, right, for some reason, it comes out so much better. Well, maybe it's just me, I don't know. But that's always the better detail side for me as far as hair goes. And I'm still trying to figure out why. And I've been carving a long time. It's just one thing I notice in my own work. Okay. If I had a full-blown answer for you, I'd tell it to you. But I'm pretty sure it's with the angle the V-tool is when I'm doing that. I think if it's leaning this way a little bit, you know, towards me, I must turn my hand or something. Then I'd get better shadow. And even though I've tried it, it still doesn't come out the same. But it comes out good enough that I mean, he'll look okay. To me, anyway. But don't go by me because, again, my eyes aren't the best nowadays without a good visor and some lights under him. So if he looks boogered up, I'll clean him up with my small veiner or something off camera, and he'll be fine. And sandpaper and stuff. Good enough for what we're doing here. And I'm going to take a little bit more down here, and maybe we'll do the mustache, which I don't want to do too much on. I say sometimes with these carvings, less is more. Am I staying in the camera here? Sometimes I really have to pay attention so I don't cut myself, and next thing I know, the whole carving's half done and I'm out of the camera the whole time. Making sure that we have that mustache and its point established, so no matter how much hair we put around it, you can see the point of that mustache. I'm just running hairlines everywhere. Okay. And then we can even shape that with our knife at the bottom here so he's not so, you know, square there. Kind of round this in. And give him a little bit more of a rounded look at the bottom there. Before it's all over, I would shape this whole thing and then run my hair accordingly. I'm only going to do it to the points of the carving here, but what I would do is I would knock these off at the end of the video, you know, and before I sold him, I would still want enough wood that I could stand him up, but I would round this off so his beard would be more beardy instead of just straight down and not looking the way we want. All right, now he's got pretty much enough detail, I would say, to make him interesting enough. Let's give him a little bit of mustache lines. Now you can separate the mustache straight up and then run lines from there, all right? If you do it like that, again, try to animate them a little bit if you're making nice long ones. Or you could do the whole point thing. I like to run them off just a little bit. And try not to overdo it. And I definitely want to keep the outside of his mustache established so he knows that is his mustache, okay? Maybe get him a little deep up here at the top. Don't want to separate it too much here because then it starts throwing that mustache off. I want to make sure we keep that going. And over here, let's see. Sometimes you're working on it and you kind of start running amok. And then you're looking, it's all different on the other side, and you lose pieces of your mustache when you make him this twisty. Well, he's not twisty, but he's serpentine a little bit. Just enough detail. See the detail here, how we're losing the detail, even though the lines are in. This is nice shadow. This, it's cut in, but the angle's got to be the opposite direction, or that doesn't show up, even though it's cut in. Right. To view it over here, you can see it fine. All right. And then I'm going to make sure I take a little bit more out around that mustache. Okay. Now a little bit of sandpaper, that would clean that up. We got all that detailed in. Okay. Let's go up and finish off these eyes and give them some eyebrows. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gouge, if I can find it. There it is. I'm going to come up here to the top of his head. I'm going to push down just like that with my number 8. All right, I'm going to clear that chip out, put a little divot there between his eyebrows. I'm going to come here and I'm going to scoop some out right in the center. Just like that. All right, and that'll give me an idea of separating those eyebrows a little bit, and we can clean that up with our knife afterwards. I think I'm going to give him this type of eyebrow here. Or it's going to kind of do something like that. Again, I want to make him a little bit animated. So I'm going to take some wood out by the temple there. I'm going to come over here, right at the end of his eye. I'm going to take a little chunk of wood out of there. And I'm going to try and take some of this out, leaving just a little bit of height for that eyebrow and angle it kind of down. Not that he's really angry, he's just going to have a little different look, expression-wise, you know. So I'm trying to take wood out to where I drew without screwing it up too bad that I can't salvage it. And I'm just going to try and leave that spot that I drew on it raised just a little bit. Okay. Kind of making him look a little more inquisitive with this eyebrow here. Kind of raised up, right, like that. Using my V-tool here now to set that in a little bit better. And on this side, this one's kind of coming down a little. All right. Just trying to make him a little expressive is, I guess what I mean, by shaping his eyebrows. Most of the expressions are in the lips, the mouth, the eyes, and the eyebrows. So if you can animate them just a little bit different, you'll end up with a whole different look than just your normal, just carving your stuff, you know, the way we usually do, and just try and move those eyebrows around a little bit. Raise one, lower one. Mess with his eyes. Make one a little bigger than the other. Okay? And then once you do all that, you can go back to trying to do your planes of your forehead or whatever. But sometimes you might want to definitely move those eyebrows and change them up. Practice. Play with them. The more expressive these guys are, you could do a lot with just mixing and matching different heights around his eyebrows, all right, and different slants, all right, and putting separations between where they stop and where the nose meets. There's all kinds of little things that will make him a lot more expressive. Okay. Which is really the fun part of doing these guys. I mean, to me anyway. You can give them so many expressions, it's unreal. It's just figuring out how to do them. Sometimes you know what you want and you can't pull off the look, and other times it pulls off just right and you go, that's what I was going for. You know. Sometimes you just get lucky and it happens to go that way, and people are amazed and they think, wow. And you're like, yeah, I was lucky. You know. But play with them. You don't have to be an amazing artist to come up with something very interesting just because his eyes are shaped a little different than normal, and they're not perfect. And usually the not perfect eyes are the ones that are the most interesting. So don't stress over them. Don't think, oh, there's too many steps to doing an eye. Work on his eyebrows. Make them look a little more interesting. Till your eyes get better. That still makes a a big difference. Again, with the marker up here. Okay. So now we have some different eyebrows. This one's going to be raised a little. This one's going to go down. I'm going to clean those up with the sandpaper afterwards and put some eyebrow lines in them, the hair. Let's pop 2 quick holes in his eyes. I'm going to use my veiner if it didn't fall off my table. I believe this is it. I come over here. I'm going to push that in, keeping that cut, turning it, making sure it goes underneath that eyelid. Come over here, offset it just a little bit, push it in, make sure it goes under the eyelid. And we're going to pop those chips out with our detail knife. Okay, shave up a little bit if it looks like it's sticking out too far. Sometimes I clean them out with my detail knife if there's any chips left in there. And I take this corner and I always tend to trim that off just a little bit. All right. One eye looks a little bit bigger. I might have to recut this one just a little bit. One pupil anyway. It's okay if an eye's a little bigger, but when the pupils aren't too symmetrical, it can... Sometimes it can work for a look you're going for. Other times it can just mess up the whole thing and it'll look stupid. So that's your call there. I'm going to take my V-tool and do the little trick I keep showing you guys where I'm just going to make... Oh, that's my gouge. Don't use that. I'm just going to make a little circle. This is a rather large V-tool. Around that pupil we just cut in. Just like that. This is a little sticks and stones trick. I'm very lazy. And sometimes I just want to shrink those eyes down. They don't look right to me. I'll just do that and make them look a little bit better. Okay. I'm going to run my V-tool up here and then down a little there. Just like that. I'm going to run over. Oh, that's what this was. This is the... You have your eyelids. This would be the hood. That's the word I was looking for, of the eye up here, you know. And then a couple of character lines, and we're on our way to detailing his eyebrows with a couple of small lines here. Okay, this one I'm going to raise up. And try to get the hairs to go this way and see what that looks like. It might work for what I was trying. It might not. Okay. Just a little bit of an outside. There. Cheek looks a little high to me there. So I'm going to take it down. Over here too. See, once you do some carving in some spots, you might have to go back and adjust, you know? That's all. And the last couple of lines that this guy's going to need is I'm just going to use my V-tool for now, and I'm just going to give him a couple of small lines to insinuate the bag. Some age lines. Crow's feet. Get rid of that marker line there if I can. And maybe right here, I'll deepen that a little bit on the side of the nose, just because I like a hard line there sometimes. And then I can clean him up any other way I want, but that right there, once I sand him down and I work all that together, hopefully somebody will like him. And I'll keep working on him off camera, like I said, and I'll tweak him 1,000 different ways, because like I said, your carving's never really done till you say so and you abandon it. But I'd work on his hat more and play with his beard and his eyes until I'm totally satisfied. And then I'd abandon him and he would be finished. And I move on to my next carving. So that right there is going to be our wizard carving. I know I talked a lot, but hopefully I covered enough that you guys can have an idea and got some tips. And that's where we're going to go with this guy. We're going to call him done. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see everybody in the next one. I'll show you when, if I decide to paint him up or whatever, and we'll put him with his little brother, the Indian here. Okay? Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye now.